Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:06. It's O'Connor and Company, and we've had busy mornings before, but we are all buckled in and flying along at top speed on a morning like this, where we're, of course, keeping you up to speed on your commute after the snowfall overnight, as well as precipitation continuing in our area, and the weather reports that are going to affect your commute and your life in general. Plus, we're giving you a full breakdown of yesterday's Iowa caucuses and the analysis and moving forward where things go with the Republican presidential nomination. Plus, we've got reaction to the international crisis in the Middle East. And, of course, last night's Emmy Awards. I know you're rolling your eyes. Who cares about the Emmy Awards? Actually, it was a pretty big night, actually, for a lot of things, including one for Elton John that makes him a bigger legend than he already was. So all that is coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor. She's Julie Gunlock. Julie, are you ready for all this?
Oh, yes. I'm buckled in.
Well, let's get to it. Because you finally got the snowstorm you've been pining for 2 years now, Ms. Gunlock.
That's right. That's right.
I, of course, am 100% against snow. I protested. I've actually been marching in protest of snow.
You're
I've had my way for a couple
boy.
of years. But now we've got our snow, and it looks lovely. Just, we got it. Now it can melt soon.
Fine.
Right, Brian Vandegraff? Brian Vandegraff is our meteorologist at WJLA Stormwatch 7, and please tell me this is not going to be lingering, this stuff.
Oh, well, we're seeing the last of the morning action start to push to the east, Larry and Julie, so that is some good news. But, oh, man, it's going to remain cold, so it's not going to melt away as you had hoped. And I heard you say, 2 years. You're right, Julie. It was today. If we hadn't gotten the snow yesterday, today would have been 2 years without an inch of snow reported downtown, but that did change officially as of 3 o'clock this morning. We haven't gotten the new update.
Amazing.
But 3.8 inches of snow reported at Reagan National. Some spots in the suburbs, 4 or 5 inches of snow. And just with the temperatures today, barely getting above freezing, it's going to stick around for a little bit. So that is going to be something that we'll have to deal with at least for another day or so, for sure, as the cold air kind of lingers. In fact, the winds will howl too, and it's going to become rather blustery. Would you believe tonight we'll see temperatures in the single digits and wind chills near zero?
Well, and Brian, it's interesting. This region in particular, to be a meteorologist covering Washington, D.C., it's more than just covering the urban and suburban areas. You've got the Bay, you've got you've got all the rural areas, the mountain areas to the west. There's like little different mini climates all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So
lots of microclimates.
Who got it worse when the storm rolled in?
It's kind of unique. I mean, believe it or not, some of the metro and points north kind of, I think, are a little bit on the heavier receiving end this time. I mean, not that our mountains are not usually the spot. They usually are the jackpot. But even D.C. up towards the Baltimore, so even metro north and east, kind of the northern tier, if you will, from west to east across the way kind of all came together. And the interesting thing, too, was that it has been snowing nonstop for, I think, 30 hours. But it was just very light in nature. It didn't stick as well during the day, even though it was below freezing, just because there was some sunlight breaking through the clouds. And once that sun went down, it started to kind of pile up again. And now when the sun comes back out again, it should slow it down. But I do think we're near the tail end of this. But believe it or not, there could be another one potentially Friday. So hang on to your hat.
Okay. You guys are microclimates and who got it worse. Let's ask the really important question. Is this snow good for making a snowman? Is this sticky snow?
I think it should work. I mean, it's not as heavy, but it definitely has some good moisture content. I think so. I want to definitely try some sledding out there. I haven't done that in 2 years. And I think you got to go out and just make the most of it because, it's been a while. The kids deserve a chance to play in the snow.
Last night we were leaving the restaurant and I did that thing where I just quickly wiped my hand along a car to make like a one-handed snowball, and I chucked it at Meredith all in one move.
Yeah.
I will not be doing that again.
No, don't do that.
Soon. No, I got a death stare. It was bad. I thought it would be fun. It's like from all the rom-com movies of my youth, you do a fun, playful snow fight with your wife, but no. Brian, I don't suggest
you slept on the couch last night, I bet.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
So tell us about this. What's Friday looking like?
Yeah. We might get more. Be specific, Vandegraff.
Another another little system coming from the same kind of vicinity, same direction from the middle of the country. It's not a coastal system, so it's not as juicy as they could be, but it could be similar. I'd say another inch or two of snow, or a little bit of a mix possible as we go late Thursday into Friday, and another possibility. It looks very similar to the one that we're finishing up right now. So we get 2 dry days in between, but as I said, tomorrow, dangerous wind chills. I mean, it's going to feel like the single digits at times.
Oh,
so
Brian Vandegraff is not seeing his shadow here, for crying out loud. A major problem. How about the extended forecast? Are we seeing back to normal temperatures, like high 40s, low 50s, coming up within the next 10-day window?
Not for the next 7 to 10 days. I mean, I've got cold air this weekend. We may not get out of the 20s this weekend. So it's unfortunately a little bit of a colder snap. Maybe by the middle of next week, I'm seeing more seasonable weather.
All right.
No, I'm actually flying on Wednesday. What do you think?
He's not here to give you your own personal.
I just want to.
Are we talking about Wednesday tomorrow, Julie, or Wednesday next Wednesday?
No, tomorrow. I should have said tomorrow. I don't know why I didn't say tomorrow. Is it going to be a clear day tomorrow?
It's going to be windy. It's clear, but it's going to be windy, so it's going to be bumpy. Just hang on. It's going to be a little bumpy.
Okay.
Do you need him to drive you to the airport, or he's a busy man? He's had nothing to do for 2 years, for God's sake.
All right, look, I'm going to take advantage of Brian is here to tie. I wanted a little personal information.
We love our pals over at WJLA. We love having our partnership with you, and I appreciate you jumping on here and enjoy it. I know this is fun. This is like Super Bowl time for you, so enjoy it.
It is. All right, good luck with your flight, Julie.
Thank you. Somebody cares about me.
Ryan Vandegraff, WJLA Stormwatch 7, and it is kind of funny that knowing we have had it. If you don't like snow, like I don't, it's been nice to have 2 years of a break. But to be honest, I like acting like a curmudgeon, but it is beautiful. I really did. Waking up this morning and looking out and seeing the whole, and then I had to think about the work that I had to do and the damage it causes. And
oh dear. Well,
that rubbed off.
Enjoy it for a few minutes, at least.
No, it is. It's fantastic, and I know how happy kids are because school is closed. That does make kids happy. Are you going to put them to work first, or are you just going to have to?
No. They can just get up and have breakfast and then go out and play. And what I do is I set towels all over the house because it ends up being kind of a mess.
People do forget. Kids especially forget, or they just choose not to acknowledge that snow is water.
Yes. They
just
do
think,
not,
what? It's just snow. What?
Right. It's fine.
It's just snow, and then it comes and it's all over the damn house.
I will spend most of the day bent over, wiping up little puddles. That's what
with a smile on your face, though.
With a smile on my face. That's right.
You'll be so pleased, so delighted. Absolutely. Well, and hopefully, what I worry about over the course of the rest of this morning, and through this commute, and then into the sort of late morning at noontime, is oftentimes as temperatures continue to stay cold as they are today, that's when disasters happen because of the slick roads. Because
you're right.
People's like, okay, the worst is over. Everything's been cleared. Now I can just go back to normal and drive, 30 over the speed limit. And you can't. You really can't. You don't know how dangerous it can be out there. And that's, I've seen it over the course of the last, going on 13 years now here in D.C. This is when really bad accidents happen and pileups happen.
Quickly before we go to the break, this is a good day to get out there and see if someone needs help. If your neighbor is elderly, these conditions can be slick. People fall down. So this is a great day. My kids, we'll check and see if anybody needs some sidewalk cleared or needs help doing something. Even, you could even just surprise your neighbors and go over and clear off their cars. So, look out for your neighbors today.
All right. I'll go check on Jane later today. Our next door neighbor is Jane. Yeah, she's sweet.
That's good.
All right. We've got more on the Iowa caucuses from last night. 80 degrees at 6:17.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Need a new roof? Honor, respect, and trust your home with Valor. Visit valorhome.com.
This report is sponsored by MGM National Harbor.
Did your last visit to MGM National Harbor include salsa dancing at Diablo's Cantina, seeing your favorite star up close, or were you one of our hundreds of daily jackpot winners? Maybe it's time for another visit. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together, whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative. It would be so nice if we could come together and straighten out the world and straighten out the problems and straighten out all of the death and destruction that we're witnessing. That's practically never been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon.
That's President Trump last night during his victory speech, and he had every reason to give a victory speech and feel victorious because the caucuses in Iowa weren't even close, despite all the hype and all the buildup, and frankly, I think a lot of manufactured drama over the surge of Nikki Haley. First of all, Donald Trump, 51%, a clear, decisive, dominant performance in Iowa. Ron DeSantis ended up coming second. And I saw people who have been watching politics for decades, all the people who get paid really big bucks to sit on a cable news set and give their opinion and give their projections and give their, look into the crystal ball. And they all told me Nikki Haley was going to shock the world and come in second place. She didn't. She came in a close third behind Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis came in second. He was not close. He was 30 points behind Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And Nikki Haley came in at third place at 19%. Vivek Ramaswamy came in fourth place in the Iowa caucus with just close to 8%. And he then announced during his concession speech that he would be suspending his campaign.
Campaign founded on speaking the truth, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not just to the Democrats, but to our own side. And not just to other campaigns and candidacies, but to ours. And so I will stick to the truth tonight. The first hard truth, and this one's hard for me. I got to admit this. But we've looked at it every which way, and I think it is true that we did not achieve the surprise that we wanted to deliver tonight. And I think that that's just a hard fact that we're going to have to accept as a campaign.
He went on to announce he was suspending. He said there has to be an America First candidate in the White House. Earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump, and I'm going forward to give him my full endorsement for president. So there's all the support that had been coalescing around Vivek Ramaswamy, which in some cases was close to 10%, depending on the polls that you were looking at. It now shifts over to Donald Trump, one suspects. And so now, well, I don't know. Julie, you tell me, but I'm just feeling like I don't. When Donald Trump can get over 50% in Iowa, he can make the case. Listen, if every single person, if every candidate who didn't vote for me coalesced around DeSantis or Haley or whatever, I'd still beat him. So what are we doing here?
Yeah. And his message is, okay, it's time to move on. Let's put our toys away. Let's move on. Let's come together and let's beat Joe Biden. Let's get this country righted. That is what he's saying. And it's a smart message as opposed to Biden, who's out there saying, it's us against the MAGA extremists, which means, 50% of the country. What I find interesting is some of the breakdowns I'm seeing. DeSantis beat Trump in Iowa with just one demographic, and that's 17 to 29-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Haley didn't do that well, Ramaswamy. And actually, Ramaswamy got 21%. Haley got 23%. DeSantis got 35%. Trump got 21%.
Of the 18 to 29?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But from 30 years to 65 and older, Trump dominated every single one of those age groups. I'm looking at another one, and I don't.
By the way, there's a technical word for people in those age groups from 30 years and up. They're called people who actually vote. I'm sorry. I love my Gen Zers. I love people who are in their early 20s, college kids, and I know people think that they do make a difference in certain states. I'm not going to lie. And Scott Walker from Young America's Foundation will make that case for you. But in general, writ large across the board, people 30 and over vote. They buy things. They have disposable income.
You're right.
They feel the very real repercussions of their votes. So that's. You ask any candidate, who'd you rather have? The people who are 19 years old supporting you, or the people who are 35 years old? They're going to say 35.
Yeah. I mean, 65 and older, Trump, it was 56%. By the way, my parents participated last night.
That's right. They recently moved to Iowa.
Yes,
gosh.
they recently moved, and my mom was sending me texts about how fun it was, how energized people were, how excited people were. So she had a great time. And, of course, her precinct, I think, if I can find the text, I think it went for DeSantis. So
okay.
One of the few but she lives near Iowa.
Well, he didn't win any county. Every single county went to Donald Trump. The entire state was painted Donald Trump's colors. By the way, if you're wondering what really happened in Iowa last night, leave it to Joy Reid to explain it all to you.
New Hampshire. And I think to the point that you made, Steph, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. She's still a brown lady that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant and which accepts the notion that you can say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. She's getting, birthered by Donald Trump. And I don't care how much the donor class likes her, which will ramp up a lot, the better she does in New Hampshire. So it's still a challenge. I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe.
I know it's shocking to hear that Joy Reid, or for that matter, any anchor or analyst on MSNBC said this, but it's true. Apparently, they think Republicans and particularly Trump voters are racist. Right. So, I mean, color me shocked on that one. Yeah, it's 6. Oh, did I say color me? I'm sorry. That's 6.
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:36 now. It's O'Connor and Company on a super busy Tuesday morning. We're going to continue to give you updates on the roads, on traffic, on conditions, on the weather. It's almost like we do it every day, every 10 minutes, first on the fives. Oh, that's exactly what we do. So the next one's coming up here at 6:45. Stay with us. We'll give you all those details and everything you need to know. We're also going to be checking in with VDOT a little later on, give you an update on the Virginia roads. We just spoke with the Maryland Department of Transportation. We're also, by the way, covering last night's Iowa caucuses. We'll get to that in a hot second. Also at 7:05, Kurt Schlichter will join us, give us his analysis. Also talk about the tensions in the Middle East as we saw Iran sending a missile to the U.S. consulate in Iraq. That I think that seems kind of serious. And then at 8:35, Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics. That's all coming up. Hey, Julie Gunlock, here's Nikki Haley from last night after she finished in third place.
I can safely say tonight Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
Hold on. Ron DeSantis is like, well, I'm standing right here. What the hell?
Thank you.
DeSantis came in second. Iowa made this a two-person. Do you notice she sounded more Southern every single day?
Yes, she did. She's doing a little bit of the Hillary Church speech. Yeah. They don't sound like that in Iowa.
Well, listen, if you look at the latest CNN poll out of New Hampshire, Trump's winning, of course, still 39%, Haley at 32%. DeSantis a distant third at 5%. Vivek Ramaswamy drops out last night. One presumes that his support goes to Trump. That increases his lead. Chris Christie dropping out, though they still haven't felt the full benefit of his supporters, which I'm assuming will go to either Haley or DeSantis. Or they'll go to their rightful home, the Democrats.
Right.
You never know. But do you analyze? I mean, you've been watching politics for many years in this town.
Yeah.
Do you see this as a two-person race all of a sudden?
Yes, I do. I see it as. I think what Haley is referring to is New Hampshire, where it's much closer, and she knows that Ron DeSantis spent no time there, that he put all his eggs in the Iowa basket. And so she says, well, look, I wasn't that much of a distant third, and I'm going to go strong into New Hampshire and may even win New Hampshire. And so that's what she meant by the two-person race. But last night, it seemed like a pretty silly statement considering she came in third.
I was asked, it's funny because I usually don't spend my time criticizing Republicans. I don't. There's plenty of other media outlets to get that. But I recognize I've probably been more critical of Nikki Haley recently than in the past, partly because I don't like it when a politician goes up and just behaves in a certain way that I know they never said stuff like this before in their entire history, but now suddenly, gee, I don't know what the root cause of this.
And I've been the same way, Larry. And my reasoning is that I don't like this girl boss.
Right.
I wear high heels, and if you want something right, have a woman do it. I don't like those false sort of bromides thrown out. And it's also, it doesn't work on me. Does she think that's going to work? So I mean, that's part of the reason that it all just seems a little bit ridiculous.
Manufactured.
Yes.
Yeah. And your career at Independent Women's Forum is actually, you've tried to repel against all of that kind of nonsense. Yes. And I'll tell you, and listen, if the rumors are that Donald Trump is going to reach out and try to unite the Republican Party by bringing Nikki Haley into the fold, I honestly think he would unite the Republican Party more by bringing DeSantis in. I think sadly, a Trump-DeSantis ticket would be unstoppable. The problem is I think there's so much bad blood between the two of them. I don't see that happening. But Nikki Haley is going to increase her criticism of Donald Trump. We saw it last night. We're going to see it even more in New Hampshire because she thinks that's her ticket to success. That ain't going to get her on the ticket, I don't think.
Look,
but if Trump ends up picking her, obviously I'm going to support that ticket because anybody that the Democrats at this point is critically important.
Yeah, this bad blood issue, though, is kind of interesting when you consider that the last time around, Trump accused Ted Cruz's father of killing Kennedy, and said Marco Rubio has tiny fingers, and all these other things that were pretty personally insulting, and then they all back him. And I mean, let's look at the current president and vice president. Kamala Harris accused Joe Biden of being a racist, and then she's all like,
"Yay,
Joe!" So,
You're right.
This is politics. Everyone says horrible things. I don't think it's irreparable. I think they can repair these rifts.
Right.
It might still happen. It's funny. I just wonder how many of them want the number 2 spot. I don't know that Haley and DeSantis want the number
Haley
2.
would take the number 2 slot in
you
a second.
think? I
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I think she would. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Ted Cruz ended up being the most important and supportive senator in the Senate, in the U.S. Senate for Donald Trump after all that. Yeah, no, and you're right. That is American politics. And people have said, so why? What is your issue with Haley? And it's hard to put a finger on it. But last night, and I'm sorry, I can't remember whether I was flipping around, but I heard something that absolutely is like, that's my problem. This is my problem with Nikki Haley. Because somebody said, well, in the backdrop of all of this, we're seeing increased hostilities in the Middle East. It's a more dangerous world. And, with an Iranian missile strike on our consulate in Iraq, and that's good for Nikki Haley. And it was like, that's it. That's the problem. As there is increased tension around the world, as there is an increased outlook that because of this disastrous presidency, we might be increasing our national security posture on a world stage, and that means putting more men and women in harm's way, arguably for fights that aren't our fights directly or even indirectly. That's what I believe that she is quick to mobilize American resources for war.
Yeah.
And it politically benefits her. You cannot deny that politically benefits her, and that makes me suspicious. And by the way, I'm suspicious of Biden for that reason too.
She leans in on the, ambassador to the UN a lot. That's her expertise. That's where she
thanks to Trump
feels, she has unique strength in that area. I agree with you on that, but I also feel like I always get back to this posturing, these bromides she throws out. When she says things like, when she uses the language of the left, when she says things like, if you want it done right, you got to have a woman do it. That bothers me when she says things like, I cannot stand how she says we need to stop the division and bring people together. I'm like, who's divisive in this country? It's the left. It's not like so.
Yep.
Again, I think she is very rehearsed. I think she's tested her messages, and I just. There's just
it doesn't feel genuine.
It
doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, it doesn't feel genuine.
All right, coming up, Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid were in prime form last night. We're going to share that with you. Joe Biden's divisive response to Trump winning the Iowa caucus, we will share. Ellen KAMILAKIS, she's got the most musical name in Department of Transportation communications history. Ellen KAMILAKIS has been waiting 2 years for this day. Finally, you've got some snow, Ellen. Congratulations.
Hey, Larry, I missed you. How are you?
Same here, although I've been really enjoying your social media footprint. If people don't remember or don't know, Ellen, is responsible for the most entertaining, engaging, and joyful Twitter account in all of state government in Virginia. It's the Northern Virginia. Let me get it right. It's, if you follow it on Twitter or X, it's VDOT Nova. It's delightful and wonderful. But we got serious business here. What are the roads looking like, Ellen?
The roads are actually looking great. We started out last night around 8 treating. We had been on earlier in the day for the snow that we got in the morning. But our interstates at this point are all pretty much running water. They're going through and they're doing some touch-ups on some of the ramps. The primaries are looking great, and crews are focused on the subdivisions right now. Just in enough time to not wake everybody up in the middle of the night, but be able to get out and get your milk and bread if you need to. But the public has been great in staying off of the roads. The school systems have helped. The feds have helped. So we're really, really pleased with how this one has gone.
Oh, we got to get Julie's mic
so sorry.
going there. There you are.
I go. There I go. I'm so sorry about that. What does the tomorrow and the rest of the week look? I know we're looking at more snow on Friday, but do you think the roads, or people can get out tomorrow and resume regular schedule, or do you think that schools might be closed another day and things might be on pause for longer?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because that shifts into this right now is phase 1. Phase 2 for us is exactly what you're alluding to, which is going to be the hard refreeze that we're going to see. With everything being running water now, and then once temps go below freezing and stay there for multiple days, we are looking at this being an ice event. So what is likely going to help us today is going to be when the winds pick up and the gusts pick up, to try to dry out some of the asphalt and dry out some of the things that have melted. But we don't want people to be complacent. Like, it's going to be relatively easy to get out this morning, but we don't want people to think that this is the end of it, because there is no strategy to driving on ice. You can in a 4x4 or whatever with snow, but ice, all bets are off. Everybody is equal in that regard.
Well, and that is the danger, Ellen. I'm already seeing on X, I'm seeing people posting videos of cars fishtailing because they're going too fast, because they see that you guys did a good job. There's no snow on the road, but that doesn't mean it's not unsafe. And they're driving like everything's fine, and then suddenly they start fishtailing and swerving around, and that's what's going to cause a major pileup.
Agreed. And think about how people drive on a sunny day here in the region, and then you add some snow and ice into it. No, honestly, Larry, you're speaking the truth, that the speeds are really an issue and people are overdriving the conditions. I live very close to work, and I was like, let me budget 20 minutes to get to work. Yeah. And it was fine, but I didn't feel the pressure to speed up and to do anything dangerous. Or if I'm approaching a puddle, I'm like, maybe that's ice, maybe that's not. Let me just be careful with it. And that's really how we want people to approach things. But speeding is definitely a factor. And then one of the things that one of our hidden surprises usually are the turn lanes. Because people will come at them pretty much in full speed, and then they're going to brake heavily to make their corner. Yeah. And so we always tell people, like, we say bridges, ramps, and overpasses about freezing, but we also talk about the turn lanes too. They can be kind of tricky.
Well, listen, I know you're going to be a busy woman this morning. You've probably already done most of the media outlets, including ours, and we appreciate it so much, Ellen. Great to have you back there getting it done. We want you on that wall. We need you on that wall. Ellen KAMILAKIS, VDOT. Thank you so much. And do follow, honestly, it's not only obviously informative, but incredibly joyful. It's VDOT Nova over there at X. It's 6:53.
Making sense of your world.
And you got good analysis on stuff.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
And I wanted to say how much I appreciate that.
Making sense of the news.